Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Saturday, June 10th, and I posted the article for some sports betting picks and kind of my thoughts and breakdown. And I wanted to do a video on the prize picks and kind of go through the prize picks tab. I put it in a Google Sheet and posted it, but I really didn't get a lot of feedback, so I don't know if you guys like it or not. So I didn't post it today, but it's up there the last 2 days. It's really easy to look at on a mobile device. So go back in the Facebook group, click that link if you like it, leave me some feedback on there. I don't want to spend time doing something if people don't like it or they're not going to use it, but if it's beneficial, I don't mind spending the time doing it. As always, CheatSheetPros.com is your source for sports betting, player props, and daily fantasy information. We're trying to post a few more videos in 2023, so make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications below. You can try out our cheat sheets for free on Thursdays in our Facebook group. The link is in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the MLB cheat sheet for today. And let me slide this over here a little bit so I can get a little better look at it. And so I'm not going to go down all of these tabs here in the bottom, but we're going to focus on this prize picks tab because this is what we're looking at for prize picks. And you can see we've got all the props in here. When it comes out, these are kind of in order. What I've done is I sorted it by hit rate on the last 7. We have some players up here that have the little asterisk in their name that I just haven't fixed yet, so I'm just going to filter those out so we can skip over them. There's a lot of plays I like in MLB today, and I'm going to show you how I go through and kind of pick out some of the player props. So I sort this by hit rate over the last 7, and then these are our game logs over the last 7. And can you see? Okay, you can't see all those. And let me make sure you can see that. Okay. And so I just kind of go down and I look at the props. I like doing hitter fantasy score because you have a lot of different ways you can score fantasy points. And I like pitching strikeouts because real quick we can look and see what the opponent team strikeout rate is over the last 2 weeks. So these columns confuse people. So real quick, this is batter versus pitcher data. So if it's a hitter and there's any BVP data, it's going to show up here. And then if it is a pitcher, it's going to show the opponent team strikeout percentage and how that ranks. And I believe it's over the last 2 weeks, I think. I'm not 100% sure. My brain is mush right now. So let's go ahead and flip down here. So Andrew Abbott, he's only got 1 start. We can see that his strikeout prop is 5. He had 6 in his first, but he's going up against a team that really doesn't strike out much, so that doesn't jump out at me. And I just kind of work my way down here to see what I like. Now, Tristan McKenzie is interesting. He had 10 strikeouts in his first return back, and his prop line is only 6. Now, Houston, they only strike out 21.6% of the time, which is the 8th lowest. But with 10 strikeouts last time, that's something that I would look at. But I don't know how long he's going to pitch in that game, and Houston is a tough matchup, so that's one that I would probably stay away from. And I just kind of flip down here. This is going to be the average over the last 5. This is the current price pick line, and we're looking for big differences. So when we're scrolling down here, one that jumps out is right there. So Ke'Bryan Hayes versus Cody Senga. So he's a decent pitcher. That's a tough matchup, but you can see his hits, runs, and RBIs over the last 7 games. He's hit that 6 times for an 86% hit rate. He averages 4.4 per game. Basically, he had that 112, and that kind of boosted him up. The other one that we're going to look at, now this is the first play that I like, is Elly De La Cruz. We talked about him in the chat briefly this morning before Ben had to run to a game. So Elly De La Cruz, he's going up against Mikolas, which Mikolas has been a really good pitcher, but his fantasy score is 7.5. So anything 7, 7.5, 8's pretty decent. And look at his numbers. In his 4 games, he's had 11, 26, 8. And he had a bad game last time, and he still managed to put up 5 fantasy points. So I like him to go over again. Cincinnati's been doing really well. So that's one I'm going to take a shot at, is Elly De La Cruz over 7.5 fantasy score. Let me write that down. And then we're going to kind of flip down through here. Now the next one, Michael Kopech. He's going up against a team that doesn't strike out a ton, but his strikeout prop is only 6, and I was kind of shocked to see that. I'm sure this is probably going to jump to 6.5. Over these last 4 games, he's got 9, 10, 9, 10. So he's averaging 9.5 strikeouts over the last 4 games. Now, that's one that I'm also going to take a shot on. I like Kopech strikeouts. The reason is for us to lose, he has to end with 5, and he's pretty much putting up almost double that over the last 4, so he's really getting in his groove. So the second play I'm going to do is Kopech strikeouts over 6. And then flipping down here, we're going to kind of take a look at a few different ones. Senga, I'm not going to go into that. Now we get into some total base props, taking a look at that. Christian Walker has a huge ISO versus left-handed pitching, but when I look at his game log, so total base is 1.5. He's got 2, 2, 0, 1, 2. So, 1.5 is a good number. He could go either way on that. I really don't like an edge on it. If you're a big Christian Walker fan and you like the ISO, then maybe that's one that you pick and you go with. Getting down here to the hits, runs, RBI, these are the highest hit rate, hit, run, RBI props. Flipping down through here, I always look at this column, the pitcher xFIP, to kind of see, this is going to tell you which pitchers are good, which pitchers are bad. Flipping through here, Mateo's been absolutely awful lately, so I don't like him. JD Martinez has been on fire, but he's going up against Aaron Nola. Oakland's won 3 straight, but I like Teheran. Actually, where to go? Raymond Lorano. He's actually been doing really good. 5-2, 5-2, but I don't really want to have any Oakland action in this one. Flying down here, Brian De La Cruz has been good, but he's going up against Kopech. I like McMahon. That would be a pretty decent one to go with, but it's not one that I picked. He has 8, 9, 0, and 12, so hitter fantasy score 7. Pitcher's not great that they're rolling out there, and it's in Colorado, so McMahon would be kind of a pivot if you want to use it. Now we get down here in these run props. Now what's fun about these is they're all 0.5, so you only need to score 1 run. And a lot of these have done it a large majority of the time. Now, one of the hottest batters right now is Corbin Carroll. I think on our hitters tab, let me see if we go in here and we sort this by algo. These are going to give you the hottest hitters up top. So these red guys are guys you can really target props. We see Ellie De La Cruz is in there. Sanchez, Tatis, Mookie, Cabrian, Ohtani. And then Corbin Carroll's got the highest one at 135. And you can see, look at his last 4 games. 39, 34, 14, 21. He's been smashing. And then I'm going to glance over here. So he's got a 136 ISO and a low 13% strikeout rate versus left-handed pitching, so I don't mind that. If we scroll over a little further, we can see he doesn't have any BVP data, so we're not really worried about that. So flipping back over here to the Price Picks tab, I don't mind Corbin Carroll over 1 run. He's got 2, 3, 2, 1 over the last 4 games. However, I prefer his fantasy score prop. When I originally put my card in, I had him over 1 run. But then when we scroll down a little bit, I found his fantasy score, and I kind of like that a little bit better because it gives him some more options. So flying down here, we can look at these other guys. You can see there's a high hit rate, like Steven Kwan. He's going up against JP France, and he scored a run in 4 straight games, so that's not a bad one to go with. And then we're going to flip down here. Now we got hitter strikeouts. Those pop. So these are high strikeout players. When we're looking at this, we're going to look at the opposing pitcher K9 rate, which we can see here. Kyle Freeland, I'm not going to take anything. He has a couple games of 1 strikeout, and it's in Colorado. But these other guys, so these two are facing a pitcher with a decent K9 rate of 8.5 and 8.9. And they're striking out usually about once a game. So we got Stott going up against LAD, and then we got Trevino going up against Boston. Nothing really jumps out at me with those, but they're ones you can always take a look at because they're fun. If they strike out one time, you get a win. One of my other favorite ones that we don't see a lot is pitching outs. I don't know if they just post these later or if it's something that I'm just missing some of the time, but I love looking at pitching outs because I think there can be a skew in a lot of the lines. So one of the plays that I like that I'm going to go with on here is Julio. I think it's Teheran. I don't know how to pronounce it. But his line is only 16, so that's 5.1 innings. So 5 innings and 1 out. He has to get past that. So he has to get to 5.2 innings, and if he makes it to 6, that's great. Well, in his very first start in his debut, he went 15, so he went a solid 5 innings, and they pulled him. After that, he went 18 outs, so that's 6 innings. and then he went 19 outs. That's 6.1 innings. So he's got at least 6 innings in his last 2 starts, and we only need to get over 5.1. So Julio over 16 pitching outs is one that really jumps out at me. Another reason is the matchup. Now, Oakland's won 3 straight games, but again, Oakland's pretty soft. They've got a high K rate. They're 24th in the MLB at 24.4%. So I think he could easily lock down another 6 innings for Milwaukee. So that is going to be the 4th pick that I have. So far we've got Elly De La Cruz fantasy score, Kopech over 6 strikeouts, Corbin Carroll fantasy score over 9, and Julio over 16 pitching outs. Now let's go ahead and see if we can find one more. Now we got some more pitching strikeouts here that are only 57% hit rate, so you can kind of take a look at them. K9 rate's really low, so I'm going to stay away from those. Kyle Freeland in Colorado, I don't want anything to do with that. You can see he's got 1.140, so he's averaging 2.8 strikeouts a game, and he's at 3.5. I would go under that if anything. Johan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I kind of like him. 4.5. He's got 5.5, 5.7, but he's only getting over that by a half, and he's going up against a team in the Mets who strike out at a very low clip, only 20.3% of the time over the last couple weeks, and that's 5th lowest in the MLB, so that would put me off of it. Now we get in here to total bases. Total bases aren't bad. I love the 0.5s. 1.5s makes it a little bit more difficult because a player can hit a single and then really not get that other side. So I kind of flip through these, and I want to take a look at who they're going up, and there's one that jumps out at me. Do you see it? So in this highlighted plays, there's one guy that just flies off of the chart, and I'll give you a second to see if you can find out who we're looking at. Now, if you look here at the differences, there's a 1.7, so this would be the first guy that I would look at, and it's Gary Sanchez. So Gary Sanchez has been on absolute fire. Over the last 4 games, he has 4, 6, 2, and 4 total bases. He's going up against Kyle Freeland, who really doesn't strike out anybody, and the game is in Colorado, and he's got an xFIP of almost 5, so 4.84. So Gary Sanchez was the 5th play that I put in here. I like him the best. So if we put something together like this, we have Corbin Carroll over 9 fantasy score. We have Kopech over 6 strikeouts. Elly De La Cruz over 7 fantasy score. Julio Teheran over 16 pitching outs. And I like Sanchez over 1.5 total bases, but I'm a little hesitant now. But that gives us 5 plays. So let's look around and see. Those are the ones that I had marked out originally to go over in the video. But I'm going to scroll down here and see if I can find anything else in real time. So looking at these players, a lot of times I've already looked at the hitters tab and the pitchers tab, so I know the pitchers I want to go against. And I'm just going to kind of flip through here and take a look. So Schwarber, he's been decent. Castellanos, he's been decent. And a lot of these are, you know, your 50-50 plays. But I flip down through here and I want to see the, guys going up against a bad pitcher. We have a couple more pitching outs. Alcantara was one that I was interested in, but 19.5 is a huge number. I think Price Picks had put that up. I was surprised by Mackenzie Gore, 16.5, but he's got 18, 21, and 17 over the last 3, so he's been going over that, but that's a tough matchup against Atlanta. Flipping down here, and again, you can tinker through all of these, but let's go down here and look at the low hit rates. So these are the ones who we would look at for unders. So hits, runs, RBIs, we're looking at these. So now we want to find guys going up against good pitchers who are struggling. So these 2 guys, Nick Ahmed and Eric Haas. Haas, I would probably prefer over Ahmed because Arizona should win this game, and they've been red hot. So that means he's probably going to get an extra at-bat or 2. Detroit's been struggling and scoring a very low amount of runs. And we're looking at hits, runs, RBIs, 1.5. I think I love that one. Yeah, look at his recent stats. So let's look at that one. And for some reason, Price Picks does not have it up. They must have pulled it down for some reason. So that's one I would take a look at. See, Brian Wu, he's not a very good pitcher, so his prop line's 4 strikeouts. He had 4 last time up. Say Benintendi going up against Alcantara. That's interesting. Strikeouts, flip down. We have 3 struggling Colorado guys, but this is kind of how we go ahead and pick it up. So I would say my favorite 4 picks are the Corbin Carroll, 9 fantasy score, Kopech 6 Ks, Ellie De La Cruz 7.5, and Julio 16 pitching outs. Those 4 I really like. I would go with those. If you want to put in Sanchez 1.5 total bases, that's not bad, but I think that one's a little bit more risky. But anyways, play with the cheat sheets. They're free on Thursdays. If you'd like to subscribe, try them out. We keep it super cheap and would love the support, and we'll talk to you later, guys.